Hello, my name is Heather Hoffman. My prescriptive theory project will be based on the instructional strategy, project-based learning. What is project-based learning? Well, project-based learning is an authentic instructional model or strategy centered on the learner. Instead of using a rigid lesson plan that directs a learner down a specific path of learning outcomes or objectives, project-based learning allows in-depth investigation of a topic worth learning more about. So basically, students plan, implement, and evaluate projects that have real-world applications beyond the classroom walls. Learning activities that are interdisciplinary, long-term, and student-centered are emphasized rather than short, isolated lessons. Most important, students find projects fun, motivating, and challenging because they play an active role in choosing the project and in the entire planning process. By focusing on the individual learner, project-based learning strives for considerable individualism of curriculum, instruction, and assessment. In other words, the project is learner-centered. Now, project-based instructional strategies have their roots in the constructivist approach, evolved as far back as the early 1900s, and such psychologists as Vygotsky, Bruner, Piaget, and Dewey. Constructivism views learning as the result of mental construction, that is, that the children will learn by constructing their new ideas or concepts based on their current and previous knowledge. John Dewey supports learning by doing. Piaget explains that individuals construct knowledge through interactions with their environment, and each individual's knowledge construction is different. So through conducting investigations or conversations or activities, the individual is learning by constructing new knowledge by building on their current knowledge. Now, implementing project-based instruction begins with a driving question. That driving question is focused by an open-ended question that students understand and find intriguing, which captures their task and frames their exploration. Then they move on to the need to know. They need to see that they need to gain this knowledge and understand concepts and apply skills in order to answer the driving question. They may do this through creating projects. They'll begin with an entry event, and then that will generate their interest and curiosity. They move on to the inquiry and innovation. This is where they are inquiring. They are finding information through research, looking for resources, reaching out to subject matter experts. They're using 21st century skills. Students need this for today's world. They need to know how to problem solve, use critical thinking, collaborate, communicate. This also involves creativity and innovation. These are all explicitly taught and assessed throughout the process. Now, the student's voice and choice, they're allowed to make some choices about the products that they will create, how they will work, how they use their time. They're guided by the teacher, but they depend, and of course this depends on their age level and their project-based learning experience, but they do have some voice and choice in this whole process. Now, the feedback and revision, teachers and their audience could, of course, give, or the subject matter experts could give feedback, and then they would use that feedback to revise their work. They will receive feedback based on the quality of their work. Maybe they need to conduct further research or further inquiry, and they revise their work before actually presenting their product. And they do this with a public audience beyond just their classmates and teachers. So this gives them that real world experience that they'll need in various job settings as they continue on through their future. So in addition, you could think of it as they are introduced to this question. They have tasks to complete, resources to locate. There is a process to the PBL. They will have guidance and scaffolding from teachers and other subject matter experts throughout, and even from other students. They will be involved in cooperative and collaborative learning, and then they will have a time for reflection. So this entire process comes together to prepare them for the 21st century jobs. Now, there are a wide range of project types: service learning projects, work-based projects, and so forth. But authentic projects will all have in common some of these defining features. They are to be student-centered and student-directed. They need to have meaningful content. something that is meaningful, based on real world problems. Not only that, they need to also be specific goals related to the curriculum that students are expected to learn, as well as addressing the state standards. They are tangible products shared with an intended audience. This isn't just something that they do without considering an audience. There's an opportunity for feedback and assessments from expert sources, opportunity for reflective thinking and student self-assessment. And again, they will have authentic assessments as a follow-up to their project. Now, the role of teachers and students. This is a very student-centered instructional strategy. The teacher's role in project-based learning is twofold. Sometimes the teacher acts as a facilitator, and sometimes a manager or coach. Now, in the facilitator mode, the teacher works with students to frame relevant and meaningful questions. They will work with them to present logical arguments. The teachers will guide the students in seeking answers in research. They may also help to guide and direct small groups. There's also multiple activities going on in the classroom at one time. So as they're grouping students and they're working through, they may have some students viewing online simulations. They may be conducting research in small groups. They may be collaborating in remote locations. There are diverse opportunities, of course. They also help students with the calendar. There needs to be certain goals reached by certain times. They will also provide that assessment and feedback before they present to the public, and they're going to help provide those opportunities for students to present. Now, the students are more active in this. They're not sitting back and listening to the teacher in a direct instruction environment, but rather they're collaborating with their group members. They're involved in conducting research. They're creating the product. They're constructing their knowledge, and then finally they are presenting their findings. So they are active throughout and engaged throughout the whole learning process. Next, let's take a look at the assessment of project work. How are they assessed? Well, students will construct artifacts representing their learning throughout the process. There will be feedback. The teachers will provide feedback, which is constructive and authentic to the objectives. Students may choose to use a portfolio. There are different forms of assessment, and it allows them more choices, but they can use portfolios. They can build projects, say a PowerPoint presentation. There's so many different ways that they can share their findings, especially with all of the technology that we have available today. Rubrics will also allow the assessment to be more objective and reliable across learners. Teachers will provide rubrics so that students know what is expected for their project. So this is very important that teachers provide those guidelines and bring those students to the assessment part. Throughout the project, teachers can check on their research notes and provide feedback and scaffolding throughout. Of course, students want that high quality work, so there will be revision and editing throughout. Oftentimes, students just want to complete a project and say, I'm finished, but they need to realize that there will be revisions. They will use feedback then to make their product even better. So how does this impact instructional design as an instructional designer? Well, keep in mind there are essential elements. Remember that with a PBL project, there is a significant content. It needs to think about those things that the students need to learn as far as the standards are concerned. What is the appropriate project for the age level? So you need to think about the content and the learner. There needs to be a need to know with a driving question, something that students will want to, intrinsic motivation. They want to learn about this question. Students are going to be giving voice and choice, so it's not going to be something as structured as, say, a traditional lesson. You need to enable students to use their 21st century skills, collaboration, creativity. There will need to be available resources and the technology to do so. There will be inquiry and innovation, so perhaps a list of questions that could guide teachers to scaffold. And then, of course, that feedback and revision, rubrics, and then finally that publicly presented projects. Students will present their products to a real audience. So the teachers would need to assist in creating this opportunity for an authentic presentation. And all of these things do impact the instructional design of the whole project and the goal at hand. This concludes my presentation. These are the resources or references that I used. There are multiple or lots of resources for project-based learning if you are interested in using this instructional strategy with your classroom. I have had the privilege of hosting several PBL projects as a math coach and have seen students thrive using this PBL project instructional strategy. Students are engaged, they do learn through the process, they construct their knowledge, and then of course it provides that opportunity for them to practice those 21st century skills. This concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day.